Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from deep in the heart of Oklahoma. Okay, so haven't made a video in a while, and so much has been going on. I could have made videos every day, but everyone's talking about what's going on. If you don't understand that the Civil War is well underway, I would suggest that you probably don't have a good internet connection. Because I don't have a good internet connection. And I've been watching quite a bit of broadcast TV just to keep some noise in the cabin, you know. And it's a never-ending parade of disinformation. The propaganda and the gaslighting coming from network television right now it's unprecedented in the history of man. To hear them tell it, these aren't riots. They're peaceful, mostly peaceful protests. To hear them tell it, the young man who defended himself against an angry mob was a white supremacist going on a shooting spree. According to the mainstream media, well, just pretty much everything they say, the truth is the opposite of what they say. That's I've never seen it like this to this degree. I've always complained about fake news and the mockingbird media, and I even wrote a song called CNN, my breakup song, liar, liar, pants on fire, CNN, but I've never seen anything quite like what's going on right now. So I thought I would take a moment in the middle of this ongoing unpleasantness between the states. So they call this, the Southerners called it, the unfortunate unpleasantness between the states right now. So with what's going on, I guess the big question would be, what's next? What can we expect to happen next? And, many of you may know, and some of you may not know, that I predicted pretty much everything that's going on like 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I said this was coming. When I first came to Texas in 2019, and I told them all of the Texans around Weatherford, Texas that I knew, prepare, Civil War's coming, get ready. They thought I was a nut. It turns out I was Paul Revere, but they thought I was a crazy person going around saying that Civil War is coming, that there's this movement in Portland called Antifa. And they're like, oh, you mean them skinny jean wearing? Like they had no idea that Antifa was, at that time, a already established and growing terrorist threat in the United States, as I see it, according to my own opinion. And I should know, since I had a personal friend join Antifa. I have combated Antifa on the streets of Portland, and I have secluded myself in my ancestral home of Oklahoma to wait out what's coming. And so what can we expect next? Well, they did pretty much tell me the whole story. I just thought it would happen sooner. I thought it would explode overnight. I didn't know that it was going to slow cook and burn over several years, which is basically what's been happening. But the people in Weatherford, Texas are now believers, because BLM and Antifa came to their town, threatened to burn down their houses, threatened to tear down their statue, threatened to defame and deface their public property and destroy their private property. And that came to their own steps, and in a way they never thought was possible. And so I look kind of like a prophet to some degree now. And I hate to just come online and just be this guy that's like, look, told you so. Yeah, look at my video from 3 years ago. Told you this was going to happen. I did not foresee the pandemic, although a pandemic, planning for a pandemic in my preparing for that was something that I didn't really commit myself to, because, I don't know any of us could have predicted how this thing rolled out. The lockdown, now the mask laws, the forced inoculations, all of this stuff that's coming is all wrapped up in what Sfali said would happen. It's all wrapped up in what Antifa said they were planning when I, met them years ago. And now I get a lot of my news from Tim Pool. Tim Pool's just all over this. And I like watching him because I like watching his transition from, he's still proclaims he's a liberal. He still proclaims he's not a conservative, but I think he doesn't have a full grasp of what it means to be a conservative. He thinks because you're in favor of freedom for gay people that you can't be a conservative, and I don't believe that's true. Milo Yiannopoulos springs to mind. So, but I watch Tim Pool a lot, and I got to actually meet Tim in Portland at a protest in 2018. And, I tried to warn him then that the communists were coming. And he just thought I was a crazy person, even Tim Pool. And now he's on the mountaintop screaming, the communists are coming. They're trying to overthrow the government. They're going to take over these cities and run everybody out. And they're going to, and now the plan has been revealed that the Democrats have been wargaming a take us to the brink of civil war plan to essentially make sure that Donald Trump leaves the White House. And so, while they're accusing us of Donald Trump, rather, of fixing the election, they themselves are working to have a plan in place so that if Biden doesn't win definitively on election night, that according to Hillary Clinton and other people at the higher levels of the Democratic Party, they intend to not concede the election and to continue fighting this because they think, and I quote, that if they just hang in there long enough, eventually Biden will win the thing, which means that they're just going to fight and fight until they get their way. With when you look at the war gamed out DNC, potential plan, the zombie apocalypse plan that people are talking about right now, that has been recently revealed, is the plan for them to basically not concede the election, to contest the election, and the Senate would go with the president against essentially the House of Representatives and the Democratic Party, and several states would, like Oregon and California and New York, would potentially threaten to secede from the Union and start a civil war, as Nancy Pelosi said in a recent interview, that if Donald Trump can't be fumigated from the White House, that they will go ahead and have an inauguration anyway and have their president inaugurated regardless of the conflict over the election. And I hate to keep going back to the time traveler, but this is something that was told to us by a man who claimed to be a time traveler named John Titor. He called into Coast to Coast Radio, and I guess there was some internet chatter as well back then at the very beginning of the internet, where he predicted a war between the city dwellers and the country dwellers. And it's coming about because a lot of the people that are the grassroots people, the ordinary folk, the plumbers, the people that hang drywall, the landscape artists, and even lawyers and doctors and others who are right-wing thinking, who have, they've lived a life of, up till now, of live and let live, coexist with people of different opinions. But now they're fleeing the cities for fear of the civil unrest and the rioting and the burning and the pillaging and the soon all of the atrocities that go with a civil war are about to surface in these major, mainly blue-controlled metropolitan cities. And so the rank and file people who might think more towards the right or center or even liberals who are pro-law and order are fleeing the cities and causing the countryside to grow in number and population. And so I can see the John Titor timeline just kind of laid out before us. And, it just makes you want to go, one of those things that makes you go, it makes you wonder, But so what is next? Well, clearly the election is the sparkstone. I mean, this is the kickoff. This is where, regardless of who wins, each side will claim the other side cheated. There will probably be threats of secession. The street violence is going to get worse and worse. I cannot see the militia people in Portland, laying down after this recent execution of a Trump supporter and a Patriot Prayer member on a Portland street. They just rolled up on him and popped a cap in him. You know, it's pretty cut and dried. It was just cold-blooded murder against an unarmed opponent on a public street in Portland. And afterwards, Antifa and BLM in Portland and other places were heard celebrating, who they've tweeted out in support of the murder, saying things like, it's just another dead Nazi, and that they're glad that this guy was murdered. And they're actually using the event as a fundraiser to collect more weapons, arms, and armaments like bulletproof body armor and Kevlar helmets. And so I warned you that they were already training 3 years ago. I warned you that they were training. I warned you that the movement was growing. I warned you that it had big money backers, specifically George Soros, who I believe is a vampire. I just can't prove it. That's a tip of the hat to my song. I wrote a song called George Soros is a Vampire. I just can't prove it. The guy is really old and creepy looking though, right? But anyway, apparently he and other billionaires are behind the funding, and much of Hollywood are behind the funding of the more militant arm of the BLM. You know, Joe Biden and his campaign have contributed to funds specifically to bail out rioters who were causing problems and burning down buildings. Kamala Harris tweeted out in support and encouraged everyone to contribute to these bail funds to get these criminals out so that they can continue their rioting ways. And so this is just going to get worse until the election. From here on out, it gets really hard to predict. But I will say this, that certain things are going to fail because they rely on the system to run smoothly. So people have obviously, for the most part, many people, especially these rioters, have all stopped working because they're getting and have been getting these stimulus checks and this additional money from unemployment, both federal and local. And, so there's a lot of money floating around. Hopefully that's going to dry up soon. But at the same time, these people have been paid probably more than they earned before the lockdown to stay at home, which they have not done. They've used their time instead of doing like the right-wingers and fixing the roof on their house and shoring up their preps and, building their gun collection. These folks have spent their time and money on rioting, on going around from city to city causing trouble. It's the same people in multiple locations. They just follow the catalyst. When one place cools down, they go to the next place. They're professional rioters. And, Rand Paul called them out recently because he was attacked by them coming from the White House after the Republican National Convention. So we've got a lot of hot spots from Kenosha, Wisconsin, to Chicago, Illinois, to Portland. Now also Texas is heating up. And, not to mention the fact that there's rioting all over the world right now because of this draconian lockdown over this, virus. So anyway, I thought I'd make a video, show off my ever-shrinking physique here. I'm getting smaller by the day, y'all. And anyway, back in my skinny clothes, back in my skinny jeans, wearing my boots today. I can't believe it. I've kind of started to feel like a new man. But that's when I get a lot of rest. When I go back to work, I still feel tired. But my health is improving slowly but surely. And thank you for your prayers and concerns. I will be getting a post office box set up here in Oklahoma. Please do not send anything to Texas. That post office box is about to close, and the accounts that back it up, I'm going to close in Texas as well and move everything to Oklahoma. But I'm taking my time. And I have been making a lot of videos because I'm moving in, I'm nesting, I'm healing, and I'm also doing my best to watch, even though I have very little access to the internet. I have to drive into town. I get about 2 hours of YouTube quality streaming video in the mornings, most mornings, weather permitted. And then someone flips a switch somewhere and it just goes poof for the rest of the day. and I'm back to watching The Price is Right. Actually, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm not watching a lot of TV. And I'm back to making music. I got my keyboard set back up. I should put some music on the channel here soon. And knocking the dust off after this long hibernation, thanks to COVID and other things. So anyway, the music business is a shambles right now. I hope live music comes back at some point. But until then, we just may have to make do with the internet. But anyway, thanks for everything that y'all do. Thanks for all the support, all the help, all the kind words. And thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing the videos. Continue to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And we'll just keep watching this country fall apart before our very eyes together. All right. God save our republic. And if it's not in your will, then God bless the new republic.